Good evening, everybody. Let me tell y'all something. Sometimes the best thing you can do is say nothing at all. Yeah, I know that sounds crazy, right? In a world where everybody's talking, where people run their mouths just to hear themselves speak, silence is power. Silence is strategy. Silence is confusing. See, people expect you to react. They expect you to argue, to explain yourself, to defend your dreams, to prove your worth. But listen to me. When you stay quiet, when you just keep moving, when you let your success do the talking, you throw them off. Silence is power. In a world where everyone is rushing to speak, to be heard, to prove themselves, those who understand the value of silence hold an undeniable advantage. Silence is not weakness. It is not ignorance. It is not submission. Silence is control. It is intention. It is the ability to dictate the pace of a conversation, a situation, and even a life. People who master silence don't just communicate less, they communicate strategically. When you are silent, you force others to fill in the gaps. They start guessing what you're thinking, assuming what you might do next. And in that moment of uncertainty, you become the one in control. People are uncomfortable with what they don't understand. And silence creates that discomfort. It makes them question themselves, their words, their actions. The ability to stay silent in the right moments can turn any situation in your favor. Consider an argument. Most people think winning an argument means out-talking the other person, proving a point, or raising their voice to establish dominance. But real power comes from restraint. When someone expects a reaction and you give them nothing, it throws them off. They get frustrated. They start stumbling over their own words, looking for ways to pull you into their chaos. But when you refuse to engage, when you simply observe and let them wear themselves out, they lose all the power they thought they had. Think about the most successful people, the strongest leaders, the most respected individuals. They don't do a lot of unnecessary talking. They aren't out here explaining every move, justifying every decision, or reacting to every little thing. They move in silence. They make decisions without seeking validation. They let their actions do all the talking. And in doing so, they demand respect without even asking for it. Silence is also a tool for observation. When you are quiet, you notice things that others miss. You pick up on body language, on tone, on hidden intentions. You see who is genuine and who is pretending. You understand what is really being said beyond just words. Most people are too busy talking to pay attention. But those who remain silent gain information, and information is one of the greatest forms of power there is. When you walk into a room and don't immediately reveal everything about yourself, you create an aura of mystery. People want to know more. They want to understand you, to figure you out. And the moment they want something from you, the power shifts. You are no longer chasing approval or attention. It is coming to you. Silence is not just about what you withhold from others. It's also about what you give to yourself. When you stop speaking just to fill space, you create room for clarity, for focus, for self-reflection. You begin to separate what truly matters from what is just noise. You stop reacting emotionally and start responding intelligently. You stop wasting energy on meaningless debates and start directing that energy toward your goals. There is power in not revealing your plans, in not explaining yourself to those who are only looking for ways to tear you down. When you move in silence, you eliminate unnecessary resistance. People can't block what they don't see coming. They can't prepare for something they don't even know exists. The loudest person in the room might get the most attention, but the quietest person is the one making moves that no one expects. Even in personal relationships, silence can be a game changer. When someone disrespects you, they expect anger, frustration, or a defensive response. But when you simply walk away, when you refuse to engage, it leaves them unsettled. It makes them question themselves. It shows them that their words and actions have no control over your emotions. There is strength in choosing when to speak and when to stay silent. It is not about never expressing yourself. It is about doing so with purpose. Every word you say should serve a purpose. Every response should be intentional. Those who talk just to talk waste their breath. But those who speak only when necessary command attention. Silence is not passivity. It is not avoidance. It is strategy. It is wisdom. It is knowing that sometimes the best response is no response at all. People expect a reaction. That's just how the world works. From the moment you wake up, you're surrounded by situations, people, and events that demand your attention, your energy, and most importantly, your response. Whether it's a disagreement, an insult, a challenge, or even praise, people are conditioned to expect something back from you. They want to see your emotions, your frustration, your excitement. They want proof that they have affected you in some way. And that expectation, that's where the real power lies. Human nature is built around interaction. When someone does or says something, they anticipate a certain kind of feedback. They want validation, confirmation, resistance, or at the very least, acknowledgement. If they insult you, they want to see you get angry. If they provoke you, they want to watch you lose your cool. If they question your decisions, they expect you to defend yourself. But what happens when you give them nothing? When you refuse to play the game? When you don't react the way they thought you would? That's when you start to shift the balance of power in your favor. Silence, stillness, and an unreadable expression throw people off. They expect you to be predictable, but when you aren't, they become uncomfortable. The more they expect a reaction and don't get one, the more uncertain they become. They start doubting themselves. They start wondering if they miscalculated, if they underestimated you, if they were wrong about how much control they had over you. And uncertainty, that is a powerful tool. Think about the last time someone said something that got under your skin. Maybe they criticized your choices, made a joke at your expense, or tried to embarrass you in front of others. Your instinct was probably to fire back, to correct them, to make sure they knew you weren't to be messed with. But the second you did that, you gave them exactly what they wanted, a reaction. They now knew they had an effect on you, that their words had weight, that they got inside your head. Now imagine if instead you had simply looked at them, given them a slight nod, and moved on as if their words held no value. That moment of silence would have done more damage than any comeback ever could, because now they're the ones left thinking, wondering, second guessing. Did you not hear them? Did you not care? Are you planning something? That doubt, that confusion, that loss of control, it unsettles people. And when people are unsettled, they make mistakes. The same applies in any situation where emotions run high. In arguments, most people think the loudest person wins, but the real winner is always the one who remains composed, the one who doesn't let emotions dictate their actions, the one who keeps their energy reserved while everyone else wastes theirs. When you don't react the way someone expects, you force them to carry the weight of their own words and action. Instead of engaging in a battle you didn't need to fight, you make them deal with the silence they never saw coming. This doesn't mean you should never respond to anything. It means you should choose your responses wisely. If something doesn't serve your purpose, if it doesn't elevate you, if it doesn't push you forward, then why waste time on it? Not everything deserves your energy. Not everyone deserves your explanation. Sometimes the best way to handle negativity, doubt, or provocation is to let it sit unanswered. People will test you. They will push buttons to see what makes you tick. They will create situations just to see how you handle them. But when you consistently remain unmoved, when you train yourself to stay calm when others expect chaos, you gain an edge. You set the tone. You become the one in control, the one who decides when and how to engage. The ability to control your reactions is one of the most powerful skills you can develop. It separates those who are led by others from those who lead themselves. The next time someone expects you to react, take a deep breath, pause, and ask yourself, do they deserve my energy? Or would my silence speak louder? Let your success speak. In a world where everyone is talking, explaining, and defending their dreams, the ones who truly stand out are the ones who prove their worth through action. Words are easy. Promises are effortless. But results are undeniable. There is no argument, no debate, no explanation needed when you let your success do all the talking. People will doubt you. They will question your abilities, your vision, your path. Some will try to bring you down just to make themselves feel better. Others will wait for you to fail so they can say, I told you so. And if you spend your time trying to convince them otherwise, trying to explain why you're different, why you will make it, you're wasting energy on people who were never going to believe in you anyway. Instead of trying to prove yourself through words, prove yourself through results. Let them see what they didn't think was possible. There's something powerful about someone who moves in silence, who doesn't announce every step, who doesn't seek approval or validation before making their next move. When you stop talking about what you're going to do and just do it, you create an aura of strength. You stop needing permission and instead you start setting the standard. People start paying attention not because you told them to, but because they can't ignore what you've built. The problem with constantly explaining yourself is that it opens the door for opinions you don't need. The more you share your plans, the more people feel entitled to tell you why they won't work. The more you justify your actions, the more others will find reasons to question them. But when you stay quiet and let your progress speak for itself, you remove the opportunity for unnecessary criticism. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your goals. You don't need to defend your ambition. Just work, just grind, just stay focused, and let the results make the statement for you. Success is the loudest response to doubt. There is no need to argue with people who don't believe in you when you can show them why they were wrong. When you reach that level where your achievements are undeniable, those who once doubted you will either have to acknowledge your success or stay silent in their own embarrassment. Nothing shuts down negativity faster than undeniable results. People respect what they can see. They respect accomplishments, discipline, and consistency. Talk can be ignored, but results demand attention. When you are constantly progressing, when you are leveling up in silence, when you are focused on your craft instead of seeking validation, people start noticing. Even the ones who doubted you will start paying attention. Even those who dismissed you will start wondering how you did it. This applies to every area of life. In business, in relationships, and personal growth. The people who spend less time talking and more time doing are the ones who truly win. It's easy to say you're going to be successful. It's easy to post about grinding and hustling, but none of that matters if the actions don't back it up. If you want respect, if you want to silence the critics, if you want to prove to yourself that you're capable, then forget the talk and get to work. The best part about letting success speak is that it removes the need for constant validation. When you achieve what you set out to achieve, you no longer care about proving yourself to others. The opinions that once seemed so important start to feel meaningless. You realize that the only thing that ever mattered was your ability to stay committed, to stay disciplined, and to trust yourself even when no one else did. When you focus on results instead of reactions, you free yourself from the distractions that hold most people back. You stop worrying about what people think. You stop needing approval. You stop explaining yourself to those who will never understand. Instead, you put all your energy into building, into growing, into becoming the person who doesn't need to say a word because their success says everything for them. The loudest in the room aren't the strongest. There's a common misconception that the person who speaks the most, the one who dominates every conversation, the one who makes the most noise, is the one with the most power. But true strength doesn't come from volume. It comes from presence. It comes from composure. It comes from knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. People who constantly feel the need to prove themselves through words often lack the substance to back them up. They talk because they crave attention. They talk because they fear being overlooked. They talk because they think being the loudest makes them the most important. But those who truly hold power don't need to announce it. They don't need to demand respect. It's given to them naturally. Real strength is found in restraint. It takes discipline to observe rather than react. It takes confidence to listen rather than interrupt. It takes wisdom to understand that silence can speak louder than words. When you walk into a room and don't feel the need to prove yourself, that's when you truly stand out. People who are secure in themselves don't compete for attention. They don't need to be seen or heard at all times. They move with quiet confidence, and that alone commands respect. There's something intimidating about a person who doesn't rush to speak. They make people wonder what they're thinking. They create an air of mystery that draws others in. When someone doesn't reveal everything about themselves, when they don't always voice their thoughts immediately, it forces people to pay closer attention. It forces people to listen when they do decide to speak, because they know that person wouldn't waste their words. The most intelligent people in any room are often the ones who talk the least. They are watching, they are learning, they are absorbing information while everyone else is busy trying to prove a point. They don't speak just to fill space. When they do say something, it's thoughtful, it's intentional, and it holds weight. Their words carry more meaning because they aren't constantly throwing them around. In business, in leadership, in relationships, the person who can remain calm under pressure is the one who holds true power. The person who doesn't need to react emotionally, who doesn't get rattled by what others say, who can sit back and assess a situation before responding, that's the person who is truly in control. The ones who get loud, who get defensive, who feel the need to argue over every little thing, they give away their power without even realizing it. In a world where people seek attention, where social media rewards those who are the loudest, it's easy to think that making noise equals success. But those who truly win are the ones who focus on action rather than talk. They don't spend time trying to convince others of their value. They don't feel the need to announce every move. They simply work, and their results speak for themselves. When someone is constantly boasting, constantly explaining, constantly trying to prove they are the smartest or the most capable, it often means they don't fully believe it themselves. Confidence isn't about proving yourself to others. It's about knowing your worth without needing external validation. The loudest ones are often covering up insecurity, but the quiet, composed ones, they are the ones who already know who they are. There is something powerful about a person who doesn't immediately reveal their thoughts. People don't know what they're thinking. They don't know what they're planning. They don't know what's coming next. That uncertainty makes people nervous. It shifts the power dynamic. When you are unreadable, people approach you differently. They tread carefully. They watch what they say. They second guess their actions. The moment people realize they can't figure you out is the moment they realize they can't control you. Silence forces people to fill in the gaps with their own assumptions. And more often than not, those assumptions work in your favor. When you don't say much, people tend to overanalyze everything about you. They create their own interpretations, often assigning qualities like intelligence, strength, or confidence to you, even if you haven't said a word. When someone doesn't immediately reveal their emotions, their goals, or their weaknesses, it makes others curious. It makes them want to know more. That curiosity gives you leverage. It makes people come to you instead of you chasing their attention. Mystery also makes people respect boundaries. When someone is too open, too available, too eager to share everything, they often lose their sense of power. But when a person sets limits on what they share, when they don't offer explanations for everything they do, it demands a different level of respect. People recognize that there are parts of you they don't have access to. And that realization forces them to take you more seriously. In personal relationships, silence can change the way people interact with you. If someone knows they can always get a reaction from you, they will push your buttons just to see what happens. But when you refuse to engage, when you don't react the way they expect, it confuses them. It makes them wonder if they really have the influence over you that they thought they did. That doubt changes the dynamic. It makes them more careful. It makes them more aware of their own actions. Mystery is also a strategic tool in professional settings. The people who make the biggest impact in business are not the ones who announce every move, every idea, every plan. They are the ones who observe, who calculate, who move in silence until the moment is right. They don't waste time explaining what they're going to do. They just do it. And when they do, it catches everyone off guard. That element of surprise, that ability to act without being anticipated, is an advantage that only those who understand the power of mystery can truly use. The world is full of noise, full of people constantly sharing, posting, and broadcasting every detail of their lives. In a culture that rewards oversharing, choosing to remain silent, choosing to be selective about what you reveal, instantly makes you different. It sets you apart. It makes people take notice. People remember those who don't follow the crowd, those who don't give away too much, those who keep them wondering. That is the power of mystery. Most people assume silence means a lack of confidence, but in reality, it often signals the opposite. It takes self-control to stay quiet when everyone else is talking. It takes confidence to hold back when others feel the need to prove themselves. It takes discipline to let people wonder rather than always explaining yourself. When you embrace mystery, when you understand the power of making people uncomfortable with your silence, you put yourself in a position of strength. You become the one who sets the tone. You become the one people watch. You become the one who is always one step ahead. Silence forces people to reveal themselves. When you stay quiet, when you resist the urge to respond immediately, when you don't react the way people expect, you give them space to expose their true intentions. Most people talk too much. They reveal their plans, their weaknesses, their insecurities, all because they can't handle silence. They feel the need to fill every empty space with words, and in doing so, they tell you everything you need to know about them. People don't like silence because it makes them uncomfortable. It forces them to think. It forces them to sit with their own thoughts, their own fears, their own insecurities. And when someone is uncomfortable, they will do anything to relieve that feeling, even if it means talking too much and exposing themselves in ways they never intended. When you remain silent, you create that discomfort in others. You make them uneasy. You make them work harder to figure you out.